It's been a minute, but I wanted to turn the camera on. I wanted to talk about the All-Star break and hopefully talking about the All-Star break, getting back to the swing of things, actually turning this camera on more regularly will give me the kick in the pants I need to continue that for the rest of the season and cover the playoffs. Because like I said before, I'd be having the ideas, I'd be having the thoughts. I'll even still be taking notes during games that no one sees. And my wife always be like, "Why are you taking notes if you're not gonna turn the camera on?" She don't say it that harsh, but essentially, why are you taking notes if you're not gonna turn the camera on? So I decided to turn the camera on today. But let's get into this All-Star game. Let's get into All-Star weekend. Let's talk about just All-Star weekend as a whole. I'll say off the jump from the beginning, I thought this was a good All-Star break. I enjoyed, for the most part, this All-Star weekend. Friday night. Friday night is the night that I'm always watch the least. I'm just keep it a bean. I don't always watch the shoot, I'm trying to think. Am I mistaken? Is the Rising Star Challenge on? Yeah, that is Friday night. The celebrity games I didn't really watch. Have no idea why Taco Fall was allowed to play in a celebrity all-star game, considering I was about to say he's not a celebrity, but that would have been wild. He is a celebrity in his own right, but he's a former NBA player. And I don't know when we decided to start letting former NBA players play in a celebrity all-star game, especially not like old, retired, 45 plus, 50 plus age NBA players. Like he won't, but low key, he could go out and play for a team tomorrow. And also have no idea why Jared McCain was in a celebrity three-point contest. Made no sense to me whatsoever. No sense to me whatsoever. But all that being said, moving past Friday night, I think most people look at All-Star weekend as Saturday night and Sunday night. At least I do and I have for years. All-Star Saturday night, I thought was a good time. I always loved the three-point contest. It's not been a year that I can think of in recent history where I didn't enjoy the three-point contest. I think the three-point contest, that bare minimum, regardless of what the rest of the weekend we're gonna look like historically, I always feel like the three-point contest, you're gonna get some level of competition because it's just guys shooting. And usually it's like the best shooters shooting, and they like to show off that they're the best shooters. So I thought it was great that we were able to see Dame in it this year. When it was announced a couple of weeks ago, I was like, oh, I was surprised. I was like, all right, let's see. And he came out and he put on the show. I thought Devin Booker came out and put on the show. I thought Con Knuckle in the first round was fantastic. In the final, he did fall apart. No idea why Bobby Portis was invited. I'm not even trying to hate. And then let me just pull this up because I can't remember who was in the rest. Taking a look at the rest of the contestants, I'm not even trying to be mean. I messed with Bobby Portis. I'm a huge Bobby Portis fan. No idea why he was invited to the three-point competition. I'm not even trying to hate. I was disappointed in Tyrese Maxey a little bit, but I also was worried if he might not perform well because Tyrese's threes aren't catch and shoot threes. Tyrese is shooting step backs off the dribble, very similar to an extent with Jamal Murray, taking a lot of pull up jumpers. I thought Donovan Mitchell had a really good showing, just didn't make the cut. In terms of the top three to get it to the final. And then in the final, once again, Con Knuckle just didn't have it. And Damian Lillard and Devin Booker did put on a really good show. I thought it was good. My favorite thing about the three-point competition, honestly, is watching the good shooters form, be so consistent and shoot the same shot over and over and over again. Like Damian Lillard and Devin Booker's, and even Donovan Mitchell in that first round. And shout out to Concanapo as well. Their jump shots just looked textbook, just looked fantastic. And it's something about just watching a really good jump shot go in over and over and over that's entertaining to me. Okay, moving on. The Shooting Stars competition, that being back, magnifique. Magnifique. I grew up watching the Shooting Stars competition. It was its first time back in over 10 years. The last time they had it, at least according to everything I could find, was 2016. I didn't even know they were bringing it back. I wasn't really doing a ton of due diligence in the weeks leading up to the All-Star game, All-Star weekend to see what events were going on. I kind of heard, but to be honest, on Saturday night when they said this was happening, I was like, oh snap, they brought back the Shooting Stars competition? Like I was hyped. I had no idea what the teams were. I had no idea the format they were using for it. I just know I grew up loving the Shooting Stars competition. A current player, usually retired player, and often a WNBA player. I thought it was just the coolest thing in the world. Maybe sometimes current WNBA, sometimes retired WNBA. But I thought it was cool. Then they didn't have it for years, and to bring it back this year, I like the way they did it. I was hoping they were going to include the W. They didn't. But overall, I thought the teams, honestly, even thought the teams were pretty cool in terms of the themes, I guess I'll say. Team Cameron, yeah. Whew, got my education looking crazy. Was Jalen Johnson, conking up on Corey Maggette. Corey Maggette put on a show. I hope you were watching just for Corey Maggette. He put on the show, especially in did they play in the final versus? Yeah. They did play in the final. They were fantastic. Yeah, Team Knicks won because they hit I think they hit 3 of those like deep threes at the end to get a lot of points. But Team Cameron and Corey Maggette, he was fantastic. It was great seeing for a team all-star. It was nice seeing Richard Hamilton back on the court. It was cool seeing, excuse me, Ron Harper out there with his sons, which I thought was super cool. And then also it was cool to see Allen Houston out there. Now, the one thing I didn't love about this, the celebrity or not even celebrity passer, because the Team Knicks had Jalen Brunson's dad making the pass, someone who actually knows how to pass the basketball. Team All Star was screwed with Drewski passing the ball to them. I hope in the future maybe just keep it to coaches or someone in the NBA, WNBA world, someone with like either playing time or coached, like let's because we wanted to be real competition. And I'm not saying Team All Star would have won if Drushy wasn't passing, the one passing it in, but he did throw some crazy passes to start the game. And so I think it would be cool, or at least have someone who fits the theme of the pass, like as the passer. Anyway. And then last but not least for All-Star Saturday night, the dunk contest. I didn't hate it. I thought the dunk contest, I didn't think it was amazing. It wasn't the best dunk contest we've ever seen, but I didn't think it was bad. Like, I didn't think it was the worst dunk contest we've ever seen either. So a couple of things about the dunk contest. Just bear with me. The only qualms or dislikes I had about the dunk contest, there were a couple. So I guess it might sound worse than I'm saying. Once again, I didn't hate it. I just want to make that clear. But I wish people always say they want to see like the superstars and like the really big stars play the dunk contest. And I don't think we necessarily need the super big stars because everyone always loves and goes back to the reminiscences on the 2016 dunk contest. If you really go back and look at the full context of that 2016 dunk contest, Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine weren't the stars and the names as we know them now at that time. I think part of the dunk contest was them stamping and making their names, but to an extent, I think they were at least players like most NBA fans actually knew still at least. Call me a casual, but I'm not lying to you. When they said Kashad Johnson and Jace Richardson, honest to goodness, I was like, who? Now, granted, I haven't been watching a ton of Miami and a ton of Orlando lately, last couple weeks, especially with the Magic missing, playing patty cake with who's going to be injured between Paolo and Franz. The Heat, honestly, I just think I've just been missing out on. There's a ton of basketball to watch. I haven't watched that much. Felt a little bad, but then I went to look at Kashad Johnson's basketball reference page. He don't be playing. Keep it a bean, low key, outside of like Carter Bryant a little bit, and that's only because I watch a ton of the Spurs because I'm always watching Wemby. That's the only reason I've seen him actually play NBA minutes. JJ Redick hates playing Jackson Hayes. Like we see that all the time. Jace Richardson and Kashad Johnson had no idea who they were before the dunk contest. And I think that's like the one piece where I was just like, what? Oh, that being said, once again, for the most part, I thought there were only a few moments where guys had to try dunks multiple times. It wasn't as bad as previous years where it's like, oh no, they ran out the time limit and then they also ran out of the extra dunk after the time limit. Like everybody at least got a dunk off. We'll talk about the final in a second. Jace Richardson did scare me a little bit when he fell and basically almost hit his head on the ground. Scared me a lot, honestly. It was cool. Wasn't no dunks that was crazy. But the dunks that they did nail and did hit, I thought I could tell they were dunks they at least tried and practiced for the most part. The one thing I didn't love, I thought Kashad Johnson's, it was his second dunk in the first round where he had missed a couple of dunks. And then Dwight basically gave him a 47 on a dunk that probably should have been like a 43 or a 44. Off the top of my head, I don't know if that would have drastically changed who would have been in the final or, I'll be honest, I don't know. But I thought it was cool. I'll put it this way. At the moment, at the time, I wasn't like overly disappointed. Talking out loud with y'all right now, I'm like, nah, it wasn't that great. But at the moment, at the time, I didn't hate it. I'll put it that way. I didn't hate it at the time. And then we got into the All-Star game itself. A couple of things on the All-Star game. First off, shout out to Victor Wembanyama. And I'm going to give a shout out to Anthony Edwards and Cade Cunningham. But I got to start with Victor Wembanyama because in the weeks leading up to it, he was like, yo, I'm going to hoop. I'm going to play. Like, if nobody else show up, whatever. And he did that immediately. They wanted to jump ball, and the first play of the game was him pinning Cade underneath the basket for a dunk. And then either his second play or like one of his first 3 or 4 defensive plays was a block. Ended the game with multiple blocks. Matter of fact, let me just pull up. Victor was fantastic in that All-Star game. 20 minutes out of the 2 games that Team World played, 33 points, 8 points, 3 blocks, was 10 for 13. And it sucks that one of the few misses he did have was a great look at the top of the key to win the game. I want to say it was against the Old Head team. Team Old Head and I was saying Team YN, but I didn't want to say Team YN, but I didn't say it. The young team, I guess I'll say. Old Head team and the young team. And I want to say the opportunity to win the game against the Old Head team with a three at the top of the key, and just didn't get it. I thought Anthony Edwards, like I said, also fantastic in the All-Star game, ended it with 32 points, 8 rebounds in 26 minutes. Uh, Ant was great because Ant was just aggressive. Ant had moments where he scored on Kevin Durant, I think twice. One where he baited Durant into thinking he was going to take the three and then attack the basket. This is in the game against the both Team USA's against each other. He just looked really aggressive down the stretch. Just in general, I thought Anthony Edwards was fantastic in this game, and just was really bringing the energy for his side. And man, honestly, across both Anthony Edwards and Victor Wembanyama showcased some really, really amazing and really great shot making, and really just was attacking. Oof, like hold on, let me just like for example, just this moment here, this down the stretch moment. Team World is up 32-29, 16 seconds left. Ant gets a three wide open off of Booker's drive. Of course, Carl was helping when he probably shouldn't have. Like, why would you help off of Anthony Edwards? And then this is what distracted me. Just an elite level of shot making in the All-Star game. And yes, is that against Karl-Anthony Towns? Is Karl-Anthony Towns a great defender? No. But there was at least a level of effort there. And it was just Ant showcasing that, hey, man, I love Donovan Mitchell. To me, I'm called Donovan Mitchell the best shooting guard in the league. Anthony Edwards is banging on that door, and it's making it harder and harder for me to say that statement with confidence. For years, the conversation has always been the All-Star game doesn't matter. There's no point in watching the All-Star game. The All-Stars don't take it seriously. And I think this was probably the best All-Star game we've had since 2020. And I honestly, not to part of the reason I think 2020s was so great because the All-Stars wanted to honor Kobe. It was shortly after when Kobe tragically passed. And that was when they introduced the fourth quarter was the target score, where it was just the first person to add 24 to the total. And that had its own level of competition. And then Adam Silver, honestly, I think every year since then, we've had a different version of the All-Star game. But this year, I was real confused to start. I'm not gonna hold you. I was real confused. I was like, Adam, what are we cooking with talking about Team World versus Team USA, three teams, round robin, playing each other? The way they were selling it in terms of just the marketing, horrible. In terms of the press releases and just letting the fans know, I don't think they really did a really good job of selling what it was. But when it was time to turn that TV on and actually watch it, it was fantastic. Having the shorter games was beautiful and was perfect. This idea of, hey man, you just gotta play hard for 10 minutes. Like this game is just, we gotta win this 12-minute game. I can't remember how long the games were. I want to say they were 12, but I could be wrong. You just gotta win this game. As opposed to when it's a full 48-minute game, you're liable to have more blowouts happen because, hey man, somebody going 15-2 run, 15-3 run, you string a couple runs together and now you're down 20. In the All-Star game, the other team's not going to fight hard enough to come back. They just don't. It just doesn't happen. And then that 20 balloons to a 30. Like it just, honestly, that's what the Western Conference was doing to the Eastern Conference for years. But with this was perfect. And unfortunately, we did end up with a blowout in the end. And I think that's partly because at that point, that was Team Old Head's third game in a row. And I think they just got a little gassed. And maybe switch the order up or find a way for a team that doesn't have to play 3 games in a row. But honestly, there may be no avoiding that depending on how you do it. Because if they win, they win. And the camera's jacked up. Hold on. So there might not be a way to get around it. Because if they win, they win. And that's kind of what happened. They were only supposed to play 2 games in a row, but then they won and now they're in the final. So if that's how it works out, that's how it works out. But other than that third game, it was really like fantastic. And speaking of Team Old Head, Kawhi Leonard and that game against, which game did Kawhi go crazy in? In the game of the Old Head USA versus Team World, and Kawhi drops 32 of the Old Head's 48 points on, I can't remember what he shot, 11 for 13, 6 for 7 from 3. Honestly, not the most impressive, because all of it was impressive. But one of the most impressive pieces of that was his shooting from 3. Yes, Kawhi is an amazing shooter from 3, but it's not a piece of his game that I think about that often because he's so deadly in the mid-range. When Kawhi hit that, I want to say it was a game winner over Cat as a step back 3, when he pulled that, I was like, that's not even in Kawhi's game normally. And I was like, oh, he's just feeling good. He's just feeling himself, which obviously he was. And then honestly, I just really don't think they had enough in the tank for that final game. They just didn't. The only thing I did not like about the All-Star game was the lack of effort from Luka and Jokic. I think solely based on how Victor was playing, Team World had a chance. The fact that they didn't win either game with how well and how hard Victor was playing on both sides of the ball, honestly, I think a little bit of it came down to, I just don't think they had enough. Like, I think Luka would have, I'm not going to say I think. If Luka would have played with some effort, he would have helped Team World get a win. If Luka would have played with some effort, he would have helped Team World get a win. But Luka only played in their first game. Jokic only played in their first game. They played a short stint in their first game, if I'm not mistaken. They didn't play long. Luka and Jokic played 5 minutes of the All-Star game. Luka went 1 for 3. Jokic went 0 for 1. Now, to an extent, I'll give them a little bit of a pass, worried about the injuries. Jokic, we know, has missed a lot of time this season, but he has played in their last like 3 or 4 Nuggets games and had a triple double in the last 2, if not the last 3 games leading up to the All-Star break. So he's been looking good and looking healthy. He could have played. And Luka, I know, nursing an injury, yada yada. I guess as a fan, it's just frustrating. And honestly, I think I'm a little frustrated with him every year that there's any All-Star year. Like Jokic is known for not taking All-Star games seriously. He just don't care. And you can make the argument that Jokic's game isn't fit for an All-Star game format. But in a year like this, where guys are playing hard and we actually have some competition, it just would have been nice to see them play and take it seriously. And shoot, even if they wasn't playing, if SGA was able to play, if he wasn't injured, I think Team World could have ended up in the final, at least winning one of those games. And maybe just the fact that they didn't win none, it's crazy to me, considering how well Victor was playing. And I get Victor's frustration with Cat at the end. Honestly, with Cat and Denny. Because if you rewatch that last play where it's Team World versus the Young USA team, and it's a pick and roll between Jalen Duren and Cade, and Wemby comes all the way up to take away the 3. This is in the overtime. And Cat and Denny come over to help on Jalen's roll, but Team USA had only scored 2 points. All they really couldn't do was give up a 3. They could have gave up that dunk because Wemby had already scored a 3. And all Team World had to do was go down and score a 2 to win the game. So definitely but also on brand for Karl-Anthony Towns to not know time and score and mess up a defensive assignment. I love Carl, but it's also on brand. Overall, I thought it was great. Like, I thought this was a really good All-Star weekend. Great's a strong word. I thought it was really good. Could the dunk contest have been a little bit better? Sure. Could they at least put some people in that I was like, that I didn't have to look up on Basketball Reference to see how often they played to make sure I wasn't tripping? Yeah, that would have been nice. But I thought the Shooting Stars competition was great to see that back. I thought the three-point competition was great. And they're alluding to, I saw a screenshot of Dame and Curry talking, and they want to get Clay in and invite some other real shooters. Shout out to Bobby Portis once again. And I hope I don't know if it needs to be Team World versus Team USA. Honestly, I think they can mix up the theme. They can do Team World versus Team USA next year. It is what it is. But this idea of 3 teams playing short games and the winner of this little round robin series face each other in the final, I thought that was fantastic.